So in case you're not familiar, basically what's been going on with The Verge is a wee bit of a scandal because Valve is working on a new game. It's been reported on for weeks because they've been doing playtesting, sending people early access codes to it. And it's been leaked. People have released gameplay footage. People have tried to stream it. I mean, it's what's going to happen when you give like 20,000 people access to an upcoming game early. It's just going to happen. Even with like really strict NDAs, this type of thing happens. So we shouldn't be necessarily surprised that it's getting out there. But what was surprising is that a reporter, a senior editor actually, for a huge outlet, The Verge, decided to just try something that basically tried to find a loophole and run with it. And a lot of people found it to be extremely, I'm not even sure what the definition, like disrespectful or extremely distasteful or even unethical. And I think maybe that's closer to where I would land with it. You see, they posted this. I'm not going to pull up the article that has all of the gameplay footage and screen caps and stuff, but you know, I it's out there, I guess, if you want to look at it. But I would just say that like Valve has not released that, probably for good reason, because stuff can still change. So if you really want to see it, I can't stop you, but I'm not going to be pulling it up because I just don't think that it's fair to do. But you can see that they did, we played Valve's secret new shooter, Deadlock. It's like Overwatch, Dota 2, and Team Fortress 2 all baked into a pie. And he says, I think they deleted the comment where they referred to it, but they said that they did not sign an NDA, which is why they are publishing this. Now, technically speaking, an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, is a legal document or a legally binding document that you sign through like a DocuSign type thing. You actually sign the document and it's binding, saying that you're not going to disclose any of this stuff and this, that, and the other. I've done preview build testing. I've done even consultant work on games that still are not out yet, still that haven't even been announced yet, where I've signed NDAs that I just cannot talk about it. One day, maybe I can if they release that, but I've signed many NDAs in my day. And yes, it is something that you actively have to do. What this game apparently had was a prompt that said this. It said, early development build. This is the first thing that you see when you boot the game. And it said, Deadlock is still early in development with a lot of temporary art and experimental gameplay. Do not share anything about the game with anyone. And then you hit OK. Now, is this a legally binding NDA? I don't think so. Just tapping OK, I can see how maybe they could argue that would therefore be binding because you're consenting. But as you can see, this message does pop up when I launched Deadlock, but I didn't click OK. Instead, I hit the escape key and watched it disappear. Okay. So they found like a loophole, which is kind of funny, but still pretty clearly they're asking you not to share this. And so for you to share it, it's just kind of like a dick move. You know, it's just kind of a dick move. And I think that that's generally what people are saying here. You can see they're even like, turns out Valve was not fine with me trying Deadlock with my friends. I've been banned from matchmaking. Oh, well, please feel free to make fun of me in the comments. Yeah, Valve shut this down. They were not thrilled. And so their argument's just going to be, hey, I didn't even have to consent by pressing the OK button. You could just hit escape and back out of it and then continue playing the game just fine. Which I think for a judge, if they ever took this to court, a judge would have to be like, you still gave him access without signing the NDA. It's the same thing like if I went to a preview event or something for a game that's coming up, like this has not happened, nor will it happen. But like, imagine if GTA 6, they were doing previews and they say, fly out to this place. We're going to do super secure lockdown previews in this building with security and all this. So you can't record it without us seeing you do it. We're going to lock it down. And that way you can do early impressions, but we don't have to worry about leaks. So you fly out to that place, you go through security and all that. Then they have a big sheet of paper that you have to sign. That's the NDA, saying you will not disclose anything you play during this session until whatever the date is, but you just don't sign it and you just walk around it and go into the play session. If you then got out of that play session and talked about it, made videos, and you're like, yeah, I didn't sign it. I encourage whatever company to present the document because I didn't sign any document. They didn't make me. I do think you would get away with it legally, I don't think they could sue you or do anything like that because they did allow you to play it and didn't stop you from playing it, without signing that. They should have made you sign it, but they didn't. So I think you're off the hook there on a technicality, but it's still a dick move. Like, you shouldn't be surprised if they're very upset with you. And if you also get like no other big studios or companies trusting you ever again with early access to their stuff. And I think that's probably what's going to happen with The Verge, is that now they're just not going to get access to like anything. Because the one thing I know is that big companies do not appreciate people that try to get around this type of thing on technicalities or loopholes. There was some debate with like that Harry Potter Quidditch World Champions, whatever, where there was like a pop-up screen similar to this, where it like popped up saying, by clicking OK, you agree not to share, blah, blah, blah. Is that a legally binding NDA? I honestly don't know, because like, again, normally NDAs are pretty strict legal documents. Like, they're pretty intense. So I don't know if that's actually binding, but at the very least, it's something you had to click OK, consent, and then play the game. But with this, it just seems like somebody built in the ability to hit escape, and that's the loophole they're relying on to talk about the game so openly. I get they wanted the scoop. They wanted to make this, put this article out and talk about it. But like, come on, come on. So I think with this story, my final interpretation of it is that they probably are allowed to do this. I don't think they necessarily are going to get in any sort of legal punishment or a lawsuit or anything, but it's still a dick move. It's still a dick move. Yeah. Whether the game ends up being good or not doesn't really matter. It's just a dick move, And plus, these are the same types of journalists that tend to freak out when like YouTubers maybe let something slip accidentally about a game that was under NDA or something. And, it's just, they freak out about that. And they're like, oh, well, we're part of the established media. We deserve much more respect because we have ethics and things. And then they do stuff like this. And it's like, come on, what are we doing? Like, this is just bad. Valve can cry. Sure. I mean, Valve, the game's going to be successful or fail regardless of this. This won't really have an impact. But that's not the question. The question is whether or not this should be allowed, or whether we should like encourage this type of behavior. And I think if a YouTuber, think of a YouTuber or a streamer, something you don't like. If they did this, would you be okay with it? Probably not. Even if it were for a game, like flip the game. Say it's for a game you really like, or you're really excited for. Maybe you're really excited for GTA 6, or you're really excited for Black Myth Wukong or something. And then one of the journalists or YouTubers you don't like goes and posts an article spoiling all of the biggest boss fights. And they're like, yeah, so they did ask me to sign an NDA, but I just hit escape, and so I got out of it and I didn't have to. So that's why I'm able to share this with you. You'd still be like, okay, go screw yourself. Like, get out of here. Yeah, it's just scummy me, like, yeah. Whether you're going to end up playing the game Deadlock or not, whether you like Valve, whether you like The Verge, doesn't really matter. I think we should all agree that this type of thing, leaking and releasing a ton of information that was intended to be kept private because you can get away on a technicality, is just kind of a lame thing to do, especially in the age of all these games getting everything leaked constantly. And a lot of the most exciting features and things of games getting leaked ahead of time. It's just kind of frustrating to see it happen again. So, interesting story. Little funny, honestly, that it comes down to just hitting escape on a prompt. But yeah, that's sometimes all it takes. He took my thing.